Hello, welcome back or welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about books, all maybe of the books that I read in 2024. This is the end of year book tag. I haven't read these questions at all. The one person that I do remember seeing that did it was Madison, and I just screenshotted the. Why can't I speak today? Maybe that's a bad sign. But I just screenshotted the questions from her video and we're gonna answer it. I did not prepare for this video whatsoever because I like kind of giving my instinctive reactionary responses to these kind of things. So in tags and stuff, I don't really like to kind of prepare too much ahead. And so yeah, we're just gonna jump into it. The first question is most disappointing read of the year. Happily Never After by Lynn Painter. And it was disappointing for two reasons. One, because I think I like Lynn Painter I think I like Lynn Painter as an author, but I liked the writing. I think I got 75% through this and then put it down because I was just kind of getting bored. I thought that the relationship was not really believable and there was no depth to it. I know a lot of people complained that it was very lusty, and I have to agree that really bothered me, especially coming from reading Better Than the Movies, which is obviously young adult, so it's different. But I just felt like, I don't know, I didn't believe that they would last. I didn't believe that there was love there. There was attraction, yes, possibly, but I didn't believe that there was love in that relationship at all. And so I don't know, I just didn't root for them, and I was really disappointed because I loved the concept of it. The concept of this is that there's this guy who people pay to go and object to their wedding for whatever reason, and the female main character's wedding, he objects to it, and then later down the line they become friends, and then she joins his business and she objects with him. I thought that the concept was really creative and fun, and I love a rom-com. I love anything that has to do with weddings, and so I thought it would be fun and I was really excited for it, but it did leave me wanting. Underdog book of the year. Okay, I have definitely spoken about this book before, but Old Flames and New Fortunes by Sarah Hogle. She's the author of You Deserve Each Other, and You Deserve Each Other is still one of my favorite romance books ever. Same kind of goes for Old Flames and New Fortunes. It's not on par with You Deserve Each Other at all, but when I read it, I enjoyed it so much. I loved the main male character. He may have been my favorite main male character in a book that I've read this year. I loved him, and I also related to him a little bit. So I don't know, is it a little conceited to love him so much? Maybe, but I do love him, and he was just so straightforward and frank about his feelings and his love for her. Old Flames and New Fortunes is about this girl, and she kind of lives in this witchy town. It's commercial magic, so most of the people there don't actually have magic. It's just kind of a magical, mystical type of town, and they capitalize on it. But she does have magic. She and her siblings, all of her sisters, and they own this shop. She owns like the flower shop portion of this shop, and she has like floral magic, which I loved. I love books about flowers or anything really about flowers, and I just thought that the way that it was incorporated into the story was so fun. So she would make floral arrangements for different romantic issues that people come to her with. So like if somebody wants their significant other to propose, she would get like her intuition and tingles and whatever, and she would make the perfect bouquet for that, and then it would happen, kind of magic. And I just thought it was so fun. That was a really fun aspect or element of that book for me. But then just the romance, it was so good. They were exes to lovers, and if you know anything about me, that is my bread and butter. Anything where there is like an established history of possibly platonic but romantic relationships between the two main characters, I will eat it up. I loved it so much, and I don't know, that book was just so fun to me. I remember when I read it, I was just like, this had no business eating so much. A book that you loved in the moment but don't think about now. Lies and Other Love Languages by Sonali Dev. I really like Sonali Dev, and I think that she's one of the authors that I could see myself reading many, many things that she publishes. I love her writing, and I also love like just the stories that she tells. They're so interesting. And I don't know, I love the representation of Indian families, and so I really enjoyed this. I did find some things questionable. All in all, I really enjoyed it in the moment, but no, I don't really think about it anymore. Okay, favorite book couple of the year. Okay, I actually do have a few. I would say a couple. I have a couple. So it's between The Italian Job and Funny Story. I loved the couple in Funny Story, Daphne and Miles. I just thought that they were so genuine and authentic, and I really saw the connection between them, as well as just the genuine friendship and care that they have for each other. I really loved them. And The Italian Job, I can't remember their names, but I remember being so obsessed with them when I read this book, and I just feel like they kind of went from enemies or like rivals, people that just don't really gel, and then to friends, and then to lovers. And I loved seeing the progression of their relationship and how much they cared about each other, and like just I don't know how much they understood each other and respected each other, because they grew up as neighbors, so they know a lot about each other, but they were never really particularly close, or like didn't really like each other at all. So seeing them like come forward with their true feelings about each other and show kind of respect regardless was really nice to see. I loved it. This book is just so Letters to Juliet to me in every way, and I am obsessed with that movie. So I did really love this book. Okay, a book I can't stop recommending is Funny Story. I'll keep it short and sweet because that was my favorite book of the year. A book that surprised me. City of Ghouls. This is the last book that I read last year. Actually, the last book that I read last year was The Winners, but I didn't finish it. So the last book that I finished in 2024 was City of Ghouls. That book surprised the hell out of me. I loved it so much more than I could have expected. It was 5 stars, and I have that all in my reading vlog. But there was just something so unique about the reading experience that I had with that. Okay, new favorite author I discovered in 2024. Honestly, this year I've read a lot of authors that I'm already very familiar with. I have not repeatedly read any author except Bridget Camera, who wrote the Defy the Night series. So I guess I have to say her. I loved the series, at least the first 2 books. And so yeah, I'll say her. Happiest read of the year. I don't think I read any like straight up happy books. I don't think. Summer Romance looks very happy, but it's not. I have to say the Book Club Hotel, which I spoke about in my my second to last video. But yeah, I really, really love that book. It was one of my favorite books of the year, so I would have to say the Book Club Hotel. Most frustrating book you read in 2024. When I hear frustrating, I think of pining. You know what? I will say Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, because that book, I don't know, I just wanted to shake them and be like, why are you letting the love of your life walk away or like get away from you? Get it together. Go and get your girl, go and get your husband, and get your family back together. I was like, literally shaking them. So I'll say that before I let go. Longest book I read this year, according to Goodreads, is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, which was, I think, 600 pages. The shortest book I read, according to Goodreads, was a short story, The Answer Is No by Frederick Bachman, which was a cute, kind of cozy Christmas-ish. Was it Christmas-ish? I'm trying to remember. I don't remember if it was particularly Christmas-y, but it was very cute and in typical Frederick Bachman style, very wholesome, very sweet. So I really like that book. A book you haven't stopped thinking about. So I would say City of Girls, because it is the last book that I read and the last book that I was like genuinely obsessed with. But if I had to pick another one, because I want to be giving some more recommendations, The Italian Job is also up there. I've been thinking about that book all year. Okay, so I don't know if you could tell, hopefully you can't. It's tomorrow. So between the last clip that you saw and right now, it's been 12 hours minimum. And I also hope you couldn't really tell. You definitely could. I've seen the video. But my tripod is very much broken. Don't worry, I'm getting a new one. But it is in fact broken right now. So unbeknownst to me, the video was slowly tilting upwards and ultimately cutting my entire head off. So we're here again to finish the video, and I believe the last thing that happened before I got my head cut off was an unpopular book that I loved. So I gave 2 unpopular books that I loved for this question, and the first one was The Silent Treatment by Abby Greaves, and the other one was Maybe Once, Maybe Twice by Alison Rose Greenberg. So I read Maybe Once, Maybe Twice in my 24-hour reading vlog, and I really loved it. It ended up becoming one of my favorite books of the year, actually. And it was, I just think, love triangle at its finest. It's, if I had to write a love triangle, that's how I would write it. I just thought it was so tastefully done. I felt as though both love interests had a fair shot at getting the girl, and I did feel like Alison Rose Greenberg wrote both of them in a way that made it really difficult to choose, which I love in a love triangle. So I really loved that. It was about a marriage pact, and she basically had a marriage pact with 2 different guys, and they both came in kind of to cash it in, and then she had to decide what she wants to do, which one she really loved. And I just thought that it was really good. Come up here, sit on the shoulder a little bit of this chair, because I'm so nervous that I'm being cut out of this frame right now that I just don't want to take the chance. But the next one is The Silent Treatment. This one is a little bit, well, not a little bit, completely different from the last one, and both of these I found on Kindle Unlimited, so I've never heard anybody else talk about them, so I know that they're unpopular. But The Silent Treatment is basically the story of an elderly couple, and we kind of get glimpses into their past and their present. Their present is that the wife and the husband have been completely not speaking to each other for 6 months, so they've been giving each other the silent treatment. We don't know why. The book kind of opens like that, and they're giving each other the silent treatment for 6 months, and then the wife tries to herself, and so she goes to the hospital, and then she's in a coma, and the husband basically comes to her bedside and is telling their love story to her to kind of, you know, get into her psyche and wake her up and remind her of their love, and also to kind of explain why he has been silent for so long and kind of ask forgiveness for certain things. And yeah, I thought that it was really, really good at the time, and because of like where I was at the time, I was working, and I think I was about to leave for my trip or something, so like I was very busy at the time that I read it. But in hindsight, that was some of the most beautiful writing I've read all year. So I definitely should revisit this author and read something else by her. But yeah, I loved the writing and I loved the way they spoke about parenthood and relationships with your child, and how far you would go to give your child everything they want, but at the same time trying to protect them from themselves, because this speaks a lot about drug abuse and you know that relationship that their child had with drugs. And it was just it was quite a heavy read, but it was honestly really beautiful hearing their story. One of my favorite movies ever is The Longest Ride with oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. Britt Robertson, is it? Yeah, with Britt Robertson. I love that movie and I love that book, and I love when you get to hear like the backstory of a couple that has made it through the ages. So I loved this book, and I haven't heard anybody else talk about it. So okay, what was your highest and lowest rated books on Goodreads, and do you agree? I remember my highest being Before I Let Go, which was, I think it has an average rating of 4.33 stars. I agree with that. I agree insofar as 4.3 is probably around where I would rate it, or where it would sit on my ratings. Do I think it's the best book that I've read all year? No, not even close, but I do agree with the average rating, so yeah. And then the lowest rated book was my also least favorite book of the year. So that is What Happened to Ruthie Ramirez by Claire Jimenez. And that has an average rating of 3.53. I rated it 2 stars. And I stand by that. It was a really fascinating concept. I was honestly disappointed by it. So the concept is, there's this girl, she has 2 sisters and a mom. She went missing when she was younger, so probably around 12, 13. She went missing, never to be seen again, and then probably 10 years later, her sisters turn on TV and they're watching like some type of Love Island, but more chaotic version is what they described. And they see somebody that looks exactly like her, or what they think she would look like. And it had an interesting conversation about race and kind of, okay, I won't go into detail because I don't want to spoil it, but it had an interesting conversation about race. I thought that it could have been a little more subtly intertwined, as aside from like kind of bringing a moral into the story at the very, very end. I don't really like when people do that. And aside from that, I thought the writing was good and it was entertaining, but the payoff of it was really disappointing. So yeah. Favorite quotable book of the year, I would instinctively say, okay, I feel like it's a movie and I can't. I feel like it's moving, so I'm moving with it. If I look crazy, forgive me. I'm scarred from what I witnessed on that video yesterday. But favorite quotable book, yeah, I'm really tempted to say City of Girls. I dog it the life of. Where is it? It's over here. Yeah. I like almost every other page. I dog it in some way or the other. I loved that book so much. But if I had to give another one, I would say Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. That's a really popular book, but I really loved the way that the personality of the main female character was described, and especially as someone who, I don't know if she's neurodivergent particularly, or like that's kind of what the author is trying to bring across to the audience. But I just loved the way that she was able to always describe her own emotions, even if nobody else understood it and nobody understood what she was trying to say or what she was trying to convey, or that she even felt anything at all. But yeah, anything that had to do with the main character, I ate it up. Book with the most unique concept is easy. I would give 2 books that honor. One is by far the more unique one, but the other is also really unique, and I haven't really heard anybody give a review. So the first one is The Ministry of Time by Kalia and Bradley, and I know this book is super popular and it's made its rounds, so I don't really need to describe it a lot. Ministry of Time is basically a time travel book where people are brought to the present from different parts of history, and they're kind of made to be acclimatized to the 21st century, and they're partnered up with one of the workers in the Ministry of Time, and the story unfolds from there. I wasn't obsessed with this book. I enjoyed it while I read it. The love story was sweet enough, but I didn't get as much from it as other people have. I thought the writing was good, but nothing that I would write home about. I would have thought it was a completely average book. Okay, hi. Shocking, nobody. I got cut off. So I think the last thing that I was talking about was the most unique concept. Yeah, the most unique concept. The second book that I wanted to talk about for that question was Games Gods Play. I really, really loved that book. I think I rated it 4 stars, and I got the recommendation actually from Sarah Caroli, one of her TBRs, and I haven't seen a review of it from anybody, but I read it and I really enjoyed it. I love Greek mythology and I love trials, so it was basically like Hunger Games but with Greek mythology. So the Greek gods come together, I think every year, and they do these trials, and they all have to choose one representative who is either a human or a demigod to represent them in this trial, and whoever wins is, I think, like the ruler of the universe or something. And this year Hades comes and he participates in his first crucible. That's what they call it, a crucible. Right. He comes and he participates in the first crucible, and that's a whole drama. It's a romantasy, and yeah, I enjoyed it. It wasn't incredible, but it was good. I had a good time reading it while I did. I don't think about it that much. And I do find that maybe it was a little bit too romance, a little too romance and not enough fantasy. I think the balance wasn't right, but I enjoyed the story and I think it's a series, so I will definitely read the second one. A book that you would reread, Swordcatcher, because as soon as I finished Swordcatcher, I wanted to read this again, especially because I took so many months between like the first half of that book and the second half when I just finished it, and there were also like these little excerpts at the beginning of each chapter that I think was maybe a little lost on me because I was kind of like not completely immersed, but I really enjoyed that book and I will definitely read it over or listen to the audiobook before I read the second book. Okay, reading goal and reflection, and then 2025 reading goal. I had no reading goals this year. I just wanted to read books that I really enjoyed and kind of focus more on books that genuinely piqued my interest as opposed to books that I know have a lot of hype and just very widely popular, and I definitely achieved that. That was my only goal and that was enough for me. I didn't even have a reading goal, a numerical reading goal. My 2025 reading goal, however, is 70 books, I think 70 or 75 books I put into Goodreads. And I made a reading goal this year because 1, I'm not in school anymore, and 2, I'm just in a huge reading mood. Like, I just have so many books that I want to read, and I do want to continue being consistent with this channel, and to do that I would obviously need to continue to read more consistently. So yeah, I'm not going to push it too far. And in terms of other goals, I want to read more books than I'm buying. I also have the same goal as last year. This is my 3rd goal, so I guess I have 3 goals. I do want to read books that feel genuinely interesting and authentic to me and my reading tastes, and not really listen too much to hype and what others love, because I don't love a lot of very popular books, and so I don't want to fall into the trap of reading books because they're popular. To keep it short and sweet, the goal this year is quality over quantity. I just want to read a lot of really good books. In this talk I had a really hard time finding books that I didn't love or that really disappointed me, and I want it to be like that next year too. I don't want to let this channel and this outlet that I have, which is something that I'm doing out of love for reading and just out of the joy of sharing books and sharing opinions and giving recommendations of something that I love so much. I don't want it to be tainted by this channel and like the pressure of it. So yeah, I just want to read really good books and focus on quality. And that is the last question. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye.